Hello, hello. Thanks everyone for joining.
Hello, John.
Hey, Anna. All right. Again, thanks everyone for joining. This is going to be a session focused on restaurant websites, essential tips and tricks, and hopefully will help you be discovered a little bit more online. I think as we trickle in, we're going to be ready to get into things. For everyone's question to begin with is, who are we? Anna, very
All
excited for
right.
you to join us.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Do you want me to tell you who I am? I could
I
do
would
that
love to
right
know who
now.
you are.
Okay, great. Do you have your screen up? I just want to make sure. Oh, there we are. Oh, I didn't have it up. Jeez. You'd think it's my first day on Zoom, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Anna Tausen. I do a variety of things. I'm first the owner of Sweet Treats Bakery, which is a two-location bakery here in Austin, Texas. We focus on wedding cakes and celebration cakes, and we do desserts. And I have a brick and mortar as well as a trailer location, which is fun and fascinating. And then I also accidentally started a really fun hospitality marketing agency over the summer called The Good Kind. I say accidentally because people started asking me to help with their marketing. And I was like, yeah, sure, sure. And then I just hired people and I was like, well, this is what I'm doing now. So that's great.
Awesome.
That's what I do.
That's really great. My name's John, John Cullinan. I am a sales solutions engineer over here at Marqii. What we focus on, or what I currently focus on, is our Marqii Host product. Give you a little bit more background about myself. I actually started with Marqii in 2018 as our first intern. So I've been with Marqii for a little bit, was on the sales team for a long time, but really found a lot of love for the website and web development world. And there was a obvious spot on the product side, and I transitioned to that a few years back and have been running with it since. So really excited to kind of get into what I think about all day, every day, which is restaurant websites. So quick overview of Marquee. What our product is as a whole, it's really focused on increasing your visibility, making sure you're getting found online, whether that's general search, whether that's on AI chats, whether that is your listings or the website itself. We do that by basically connecting about 60 different websites all to one dashboard, Google, Yelp, Facebook, so on, help you manage reviews, help you manage your location data, as well as some social posting. So again, really the core of what we do is making sure you're discovered online. And the apex of a lot of that is going to be your website. So let's come to the website basics.
So important. So important. I agree, John. And I'm so excited to be here on this with you. You are like a super nerd, as I've found out, when it comes to website and discoverability for restaurants, which is just amazing. I love it. So we're gonna have a really good time. So let's talk a little bit about website setting the tone for guest experience, right? I know as a regular restaurant goer that I am always looking at a restaurant's website before I attend, like, or before I go to a restaurant. John, I know you do the exact same thing. You're probably looking at restaurants for other reasons as well, or websites for other reasons. But really, the website is your restaurant's front door and host combined, right? It sets expectations for people as far as food, vibe, price, can answer the first rounds of questions that people might have, and either makes a guest really excited to come in or it sends them elsewhere, right? So, visual language like photos and typography and spacing creates some clarity and creates trust with your guests. It tells them, what are you going to be expecting whenever you come in here? And I think that like first impressions really matter. Your site must match your actual dining experience, right? If you have a wildly colorful website and you have a moody, sexy steakhouse, doesn't quite match, right? You want to set that correct expectation. So
Exactly. And I
the
know, oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry. I know
no,
when I'm going to
please.
a website, I just like from outside of my work, obviously, when I'm going into a website for work, I'm like, what's the background? What's all the, bells and whistles going on? But I want to know the menu. I want to like know the details. I want to answer some questions and I want to get the vibe, see what's going on. So
Yeah.
that's exactly kind of what you spoke to, just from a different perspective. I know as a restaurant owner, you're always thinking about your guests.
Always, always. I'm obsessed over them. Like I stalk them all the time. Back on the last slide, real quick. I just want to make sure that we organize your content when it comes to like these two areas, right? What do your guests need to know, and what do I want them to know? So organize your content in terms of like two simple flows. The first one is information, right? What do guests absolutely must find? Hours, address, menu, price range, parking, reservation policy, maybe a dress code policy if you have one too. And then the action flow. What do you actually want them to do next? Order, reserve, sign up, call, that kind of thing. And so you can design the page in such a way that it's like very clear what I need them to know and what I want them to do first.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, we want to make a great website. You want to have a great website. So if you follow all these tips and tricks that we're about to go over, we'll make sure that you're not only having a great guest experience, but you're also visible from a GEO and SEO perspective. If you don't know what GEO is, stay around. We'll touch on that later.
Okay, this is important. This is emotion, right? Photos and menu clarity, that shapes the expectations and reduces the disappointment that guests might have. They form opinions in seconds, right? So an honest photo of the food beautifully packed here, like an example here with Banchan, or one of my clients, Carrington Rowe, some very beautiful food out of Nashville, like that gives them a promise of what they can look forward to, right? As a guest, I want to imagine my night out. And so this website and its photos should answer very quickly, what will the food look like and how will I feel when I sit down? That's why eye-catching photos are like super important to me whenever I'm building websites or looking at restaurant websites.
For sure. And I did miss one point. We are going to do a Q&A at the end. Please put your questions in the chat. We are going to get to them at our last section here. But as far as the photos, one other piece that is really, really relevant for restaurants specifically is the accessibility of your website. And photos are a big
Photos
point of
too.
accessibility. There's a lot of rich metadata that go into an image, but that includes alternative text. So if someone is vision impaired and is utilizing your website and is looking for content, we want to let them know what's there. We also want that information to be validated on an SEO perspective. So it's a great spot for keywords. Make sure it's descriptive. Don't, set yourself up for any, liabilities on the accessibility end on your website. Um,
So I shouldn't skip that little box whenever I'm uploading a photo, John, that says alt
Absolutely
text.
not.
I'm like, eh. Luckily, a lot of these website builders that I've been using recently, they actually will help populate it. The AI will
Yeah.
look at the photo and give me some suggested text, which is really nice.
Now, you mentioned AI. Should we
I
ever use an
did.
AI image for our
We should
photos?
never, ever, ever use AI to create photos because we are in the truthiness business and we never want to give people the false impression, especially food. Like that's something that someone's going to eat and like consume and it's going to go through their body. Like no one wants to think about eating an AI image. Also, I have a whole separate rant about AI images in use for food, which we can do another time. But I will just
Yeah.
say, as a bakery owner, people will send us AI generated cakes and they're like, can you make this? And we say, well, we can get something close to that. But
Right.
since that, whatever you're showing me doesn't exist in real life, we can't really create it. So,
That totally makes sense. Um, Other piece of the website here. And this is really what gets me excited. This is going to be the core of your visibility. This is going to be the core of what gets you found on local searches is that core restaurant information, whether that's hours, whether that's your menu data, whether that's your location data. Location data is super important. Make sure that address is displayed properly. Make sure it's, top of the page. At the end of the day, from a visibility perspective, super, super important for SEO, but also from a customer perspective. I want to know your hours. That's the reason I'm on the website, probably, is to get information. So it really should be clear, consistent, and it should be readable to not only people who are able to do things like look at images and download PDFs, but also to AI agents or Google crawlers, whoever's whatever robotic entity is on your website. Keep in mind they can't read and they can't open files. So PDFs, images, basically black holes for them. They're just like, that's a thing there, and I don't know what's there. So
I
it's really,
agree.
really important all of that's structured properly.
Agreed. And honestly, put it in the footer is a really great way to do it because, like you said, it's on every single page. That helps with SEO, but users are also trained for that. So it's good user experience practice to just put it all in the footer.
100%. Um, Consistent information, super important.
Okay. This is also really important. And it's on the action side of what you want your consumers to do, what you want your guests to do, right? So, for example, with Handcraft Burgers and Brews, their focus is obviously making order online the clearest, most visible call to action and move secondary content below. And if you know Rev, whose restaurant this is, you know that he wants everyone to be ordering immediately. For another example, though, this is one of my other clients, the Park Cafe. They are doing Thanksgiving pre-orders like many other restaurants across the country are doing. And so we created like a dedicated pop-up to make sure that people can go and look at that menu and place their order online so that they have food next week, for Thanksgiving. This is a really great way. I know my big like catering friends out there, they love Thanksgiving, they love Christmas because it's a good way to like generate additional sales during the holidays. And you want to have a very clear call to action on this page, right? It simplifies the user journey and makes it very clear what I want you to do and what you're going to get the most out of when you come to my website.
Exactly. And like you mentioned, user journey, we need things for people to do on your website. If someone is on your website and is like, cool, that's a website and clicks off, Google knows that. We want them to interact. We want them to click. We want them to get where you want them to go at the end of the day. But also, again, from that SEO perspective, if they just go to your website and drop off, Google notices that. So we really want
Yeah.
to give them content to interact with.
Yeah, totally. Agreed. The next thing, and this is definitely lower down in priority. I still think it's a really important way to do it and a great way for SEO and GEO to help, get the message out there from guests, but is your brand story, right? This is where you can really talk about, how many awards your chef has won or how many tattoos he has this week or something like that. Like this is where you can really share some of those directional brand stories, right? Like what you emphasize on your website tells your guests what you value: community, craft, family, sustainability, that kind of thing. For me, as the owner of Sweet Treats, it's really important for me to call out the fact that we're women owned and in the about section and frames the bakery as a community driven, loyal to our locals brand. That's really important for us. I know we have some other examples of some brand stories too, but for me, this is a really good opportunity to tell people, what your mission is, your vision is, because you want it to resonate for the people that are coming to see you.
Right. And I actually work really closely with the Taco Deli team here in Austin. I love them as an example for a few reasons. One, they do a ton of community outreach, which is always great to see, but also they have a dedicated community page that uses a lot of localized language. So if you're really involved with certain community organizations, certain high schools, certain areas, that
Hmm.
localized language matters. It allows Google and AI agents to associate your brand with not only the city zip code that you have listed for your location, but also these more arbitrary, localized entities, whether that's high schools, community centers, churches, whatever your, community engagement is. And Taco Deli does a fantastic job about that.
Just a moment before we move on from there. Taco Deli, just a moment of silence for the Doña sauce.
Oh
So
my
good.
gosh.
It's so
Yeah.
good. I wasn't silent about it, but that's okay. I also think it's really important. You mentioned about community, right? Like so many different restaurants are sponsoring like your local sports team or your local high school or something like that. You have to have a full community plan whenever you do something like that. Otherwise, it's just an expensive media buy, right? You need to know, like, okay, what else are you doing? How else are you supporting the high school students or like the local math team or I would support the local math team. What else are you doing to do that for? Exactly. And like that's where you can put that on the website is like, how else are you supporting them? Can they come in and do like a fundraiser? It has to be like a 360 campaign. It can't just be like, I gave you money and put my logo up in, the basketball court. Like that's just not enough these days. And so this is a
Right.
really good place to do it.
Yeah, 100%. You got to get as much value as you can from those community outreaches. I think that's a super good call out. Um, this is what I live in day to day is structured data. That is the core of what we kind of build our products around and making sure visibility is maximized. Your menu is a great example for this. Structured data lives everywhere, but the menu is I think, probably the best example. Um, Whenever I say structured data, I'm going to bring up a term called schema. I promise not to talk about it too much because we can get into the weeds pretty quickly. But schema optimization is basically making sure your menu or whatever entity is on your website has context to these for these search engines, for these AI agents to say, hey, this isn't just, a thing called California roll that's 6.99. This is a food item on this menu in this section. It gives it that context, especially if someone's going to that AI agent looking for, I want the best vegan sushi roll near me. You have that structured data. And as long as that menu information is structured behind the scenes as well as in how it's displayed, you're going to have that consistent answer and that consistent response and that maximized visibility online. It just helps and it's super easy to do. We want to make sure this information is visible to every guest on your website. And nowadays, that also includes the robots on your website.
Agreed. And this is how people think anyway. This is how restaurants think because they think in terms of structured data. It sounds complicated, but it's really not because we already think if you imagine like punching in something into our POS, we think in terms of structure and nesting. It's already in our brain already.
Yeah, exactly. It's everything from the dish price to the modifiers. It's the exact same way that you interact with a point of sale. That's, again, a great comparison there. It's just the specific language for robots, which is really, really important and is probably more important than it ever has been. Um,
Mm.
Again, we can go into a lot of different details, but if you can take away one thing here, structured data is really important, and PDFs are not good for SEO. So whenever you're displaying your menu, please don't use a PDF. I'd rather you just type it out in plain text HTML. But again, that's a black hole. Structured data is really good. If you want to maximize visibility, you want to make sure it's also validated in schema. So we've mentioned GEO and SEO a few times.
We
Anna?
did. Yeah, we did. So I don't actually know if GEO is like what we're going to call it forever, but right now it's known as generative engine optimization, right? Okay, good. I got that right. Essentially, it's AI search versus traditional search engine optimization. SEO, people have made their entire career out of optimizing websites and apps for SEO, basically the ability to be found in a traditional search like a Google or something like that. But we know that AI search is totally different, right, John?
Exactly. AI search is a different ball game. The way they process information is, obviously everyone's interacted with it. You're not getting a list of, 10 different links and, saying, hey, here's the most relevant searches. You're asking it a question. The way the words that people actually query with are different. You're searching full questions, and you're expecting a full answer. Now, the details and kind of the differences here are going to be based on a few different things. The results are obviously very different. You don't expect the same result from a Google search as you do, maybe a query into ChatGPT. You're getting direct answers from ChatGPT. You're getting that, list of 10, 15 different links. The ranking factors are going to be different. Google's got a lot of data about you. It's going to be localized to you. Um, Relevance keywords on your website, things like that are more and more important. The AI search is a little bit different. I mentioned the contextualization of things like menu items through structured data. Um, that's really important for AI. AI is going to take a little bit longer to get that information. It's going to be a little bit more content that it's looking for. Um, and that's going to be influenced heavily by primary sources. So they're not only looking at your website, they're also looking at Yelp and Google and some of these other sources out there for information. But the first thing they're looking at is your website. So the more content you have on there that's nice and structured, the better it's going to be, and the more control you have over the results in AI search. Um, SEO is, again, more traditional. We're really just trying to maximize for the algorithm that Google uses to say, hey, this is the best option for best tacos near me or whatever search is relevant for your brand.
Hey, John, is
Uh,
it also true? Like, I mean, I know you mentioned that primary sources, like your own website, is where they're going to look first, they being the robots, I guess.
the big
But
thing, of
yeah, the big they. I also heard that other sites like Reddit are also being indexed to get
course.
information that is very conversational because Reddit is frankly the way people speak. So, can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, do I need to get on Reddit and start telling everybody about my bakery?
So I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, more exposure's never a bad thing. However, you can do a lot of contextualization for those types of searches, for those conversational answers on your website. And I actually think we have a nice bonus tip coming up here
I
that
do.
speaks directly to that. So I'm very excited to touch on what might be the best steps to kind of help influence your AI search and kind of what results pop up here. And
Yeah.
Anna, if you want to jump into our bonus tip segment, I think we've got a nice
We've got
segment.
some bonus tips. Yes. Basically, it just didn't fit into the really beautiful organization that Kelsey did for us. So now we just put them at the end. But these are really important. I don't want people to miss these. This is a really good way to optimize for AI search, which is I know something we're talking about all the time, right? So let's jump into them.
All right. So this was the contextualization that I was really, really excited to talk about. FAQs are awesome. These are another example of my favorite word, schema, another example of structured data. This is exactly the type of conversational question that ChatGPT, AI agents, Claude, Gemini, whoever your favorite AI agent is, these are the exact questions they're asking. These are the exact
Mhm.
questions they're trying to answer. This is going to hand deliver the answer that you are getting, the answer that they are trying to answer, and it's going to be the primary source. So while Reddit and while all these other sources are valuable, at the end of the day, they are still looking for a primary source. They still look at different answers with different values. This is going to make sure the information that you have is you have a little bit more control over it. And I know you in particular love FAQs
I love
for a
FAQs.
little bit more of the guest relations reason, less
I
from
do.
the AI search reason.
Well, honestly, I don't
Oh,
actually know if anyone reads the FAQs. I love to
yeah.
write them, but since I still get phone calls every day of people asking the same questions that are on the FAQ on the website, my guess is that they didn't read them, but that's okay. I would say that like to start generating your FAQs, right, is talk to the people that are already answering the phone at your restaurant, right? Your hosts and your managers. What kind of questions are they taking? It's going to be exactly what you think. It's like what Jean Georges has here, right? Are reservations required? When do they become available? Do I have to wear shoes? Like that kind of thing. But then I also recommend creating separate FAQs based on the area of the website that you have people in. So, for example, we do a lot of custom work, right? Because we're a bakery. And so we have an FAQ dedicated to our custom cakes, right? And then we have an FAQ dedicated to our desserts. And then I'm working with other clients right now too on my agency side where we're creating FAQs based on their catering. We're creating FAQs based on their private events that they offer. So there's so many different ways to go about this and different questions to ask and answer and provide. And it just makes it so conversational and easy. Could also just be kind of a great training guide for people that are coming on board to a restaurant that may not know the answer to these. Like, hey, have you looked at the FAQ on our website? They're going to answer a lot of things for you too. I know this is so basic, but like a lot of people forget about this.
Yeah, it's super easy to overlook, but again, immensely valuable from that customer relation standpoint, but also from a visibility standpoint. Um, this is another piece. Make sure your menu's clear. I enjoy a matcha latte, but if I'm Google and I look up for a matcha latte near me and your menu has it as the green machine or whatever wonderful branded whimsical name that you have as that title, and you don't have a nice, clear description of the green machine is a matcha latte, um, I'm not going to know what that is. As Google, I can't see that image of a matcha latte and know that the green machine is a matcha latte, right? So again, it's not that there's no room for branding. There's always room for branding. There's always room for whimsy. There's always room for fun. But from a visibility and even customer expectation perspective, we want to make sure that they are clearly named at some point in the description. No confusion, no fluff. Again, it's going to be a better experience for everybody. From an AI perspective, these are
Mhm.
robots. If they don't have the answer obviously delivered to them, worst case, they make it up. Other than that, they just may give the wrong answer. So we want to make
100%.
sure, yeah, the
Yeah.
word salad of
I
AI still exists.
It's awful. I know. And I have a really wonderful client in Boston. And one of the first things I did was edit their menu whenever my agency started working with them. And they had some really great names, John, some really cute names. And they were very like Gen Z and millennial like focused. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Like no one else is gonna know what that is. And so what we basically had to do was like streamline the name a little bit, just make it a little bit easier, and then put the cutesy stuff in the description, but also the description so that people knew what they were going to be eating. It's difficult, right? Because you want people to have creative freedom, obviously, but you still need people to know what they might be ordering. I don't
Exactly.
want
And
to
I
have an
run into
FAQ for my menu because
yeah.
that should be pretty easy.
What is the green machine? FAQ. Um, exactly.
Exactly.
No, and like again, I love a fun interactive website. But again, it's always that balance of like efficiency, making
Yeah,
sure it's visible, making sure it's clear, but also like that fun, visual, engaging item. And it's the same thing for your menu. Um,
totally.
and more importantly, reviews.
Reviews. We love reviews. I know, John, you guys love reviews at Marquee as well. And I love listing reviews on websites. So I think this is a really great way to take an actual review. Like, don't write yourself, just take one from the website or from Google or TripAdvisor or Yelp or whatever you want. And it's a really great way to emphasize some of those keywords again, because chances are your guests are going to mention exact food items that they've had or exact drinks that they've had. So this is one of my clients in Nashville, Germantown Cafe, and we have reviews on their website as well. And it really helps, honestly. Testimonials, reviews, whatever you want to call it, like it gives people that social proof. And also might remind people to leave a positive review for you if they see this as well. Right, John?
Exactly. So from an SEO and GEO perspective as well, more reviews are always better. So we want to mention and encourage people to leave reviews. And hey, if that's a review on your website, you probably feel pretty good about it. So I always say highlighting the good is just as important as, from a exterior standpoint, acknowledging and, handling the bad. Um, from an SEO perspective, again, I'm going to say it. It's a great opportunity for structured data. Google wants to know this information. This is another spot for it. But yeah, from a review perspective, highlighting the good is always awesome. And then again, it gives you another spot for keywords. Now, this is really, really important for multi-location restaurant groups, especially, but even if you're a standalone restaurant group, having that location landing page is really important. Our locator and location pages that we're looking at right now are Taco Deli and then a brand called Bonchon. Um, what the locator and location page does, the locator is more of a service to your customers. They want to know where that location is. Maybe they're planning a trip. Maybe they're just trying to see if you're in their area. So it gives them somewhere to go, somewhere to interact with items. So that's really important from just a navigation standpoint, right? I need to find all my locations. The location pages is probably one of the most important aspects of your SEO. Having a list of locations is great, but if I'm looking for best tacos in near Cedar Park, or best tacos in Austin, that's location specific. If I'm Google and I'm looking at a list of information that also includes locations in Dallas and in Houston, and if you're Bonchon, everywhere in the US plus international, that's probably not going to be a super efficient thing to sort through. So that location page is a great home base to have location specific searches. Not only that, you can also integrate a menu in there. So any menu specific searches that are also localized, that's going to be super, super helpful to answer any AI search. Because again, they're going to have that structured data. If they're planning out a date night in Austin, Texas, someone might use an AI agent for that. Let's make sure they know what menu information you have, or even your dress code or things like that. So these location pages are really going to be the core of your individual restaurant SEO and GEO. This is where AI agents and chatbots are going to go.
Okay, I have a question. So do you mean that like for every location that we have, we should have an individual location page for that location? Great. But then also on that page, we need the same information that's on the other pages, like menu and FAQ?
100%. So the reason being,
Seems like a
again,
lot of
because
work.
of that localized search, it can be a lot of work. It can be. Websites are not always the easiest thing to build and maintain. Now we have some wonderful solutions here. This is specifically Marqii Host. This is my main project that I work on, so I get very excited talking about this. So I promise I won't try to get too far into the weeds. What Marqii Host is, it basically automates this process. So as our product itself, as I kind of discussed in the beginning, we've got a lot of information. We look at your location data information. We're looking at your reviews. We're looking at, whether or not you guys have a dress code, whether or not you have free Wi-Fi or parking or all of these wonderful questions here. We also have your menu information. So what the Marqii Host solution does, um, is it automates the process. So whenever you add a location, whenever you update your hours, whenever you change your menu, whenever you add a new section, whatever's going on the Marqii dashboard that you're pushing out to your customers for them to know, it also populates on your website. That location page is created automatically. That location marker on the location locator is created automatically. It automates the process. It makes it super easy. The schema optimization, the structured data is all taken care of on your behalf. And again, fully automated. You don't have to do anything. It's just as easy as, establishing that new listing, that new Google, whatever's going on. It is again a very efficient way to get some of these challenges taken care of.
So what I just said about it being hard to create individual location pages that has all that information, like you guys just do that.
Correct. So
That was
it
a
is
nice
all
layup for
fully
you, John.
automated. Thank you. It's all fully automated. It's a super easy process. It's again, the world of SEO can be challenging, but we're here to help. Our widgets also do a great job for structured data. Anytime you
Yeah.
see our menu widgets used, that's going to include schema markup, which is really, really great. That's the language that some of these AI agents use. Now, I know some of the examples we looked at is some of your clients, Anna. So if folks wanted to work with
Yes.
you, we get in
Yes.
touch.
Yeah. So the good kind is a group of people, restaurant people that have a specific set of skills, right? And so we focus on digital marketing. I can do branding. I don't do PR. I really don't like it. There's so many people, better people out there that can do that. I'm not super good at the spin. I'm good at the creative and I'm good at the execution. In fact, my dear friend Sam Stanovich used to call me the executioner. So I can just make it happen. I have a wonderful a group of people with me, designers, video editors, photographers. And so we'd be happy to work with you and talk about your restaurant and bring you on board. If you are in Austin, Texas, and you need a wedding cake, hit me up. I'm absolutely happy to do something like that for you guys. We also do some custom cookies too. And then what about Marqii? How do they find you guys?
100%. You can find us at marquee.com, or you can scan the QR code here, jump on a demo. For current customers right now, I would love to talk about the host product. It is an additional product outside of our listings and review services. But again, if website's your main focus, if visibility online is a main priority moving forward, host is going to be a really great option for you.
How many locations do you think people need to have to really spend the time and invest in host?
It's totally different for each location group. I've got clients around 7 locations. I've got customers, to 500 to 800 locations. So
Wow.
it totally depends on what your goals are. If you are spending a ton of time creating and interacting and trying to get schema optimization and trying to make sure your page load, which we didn't get into, and I promise I won't get into the weeds, but there's a lot that goes into SEO. And once you start unraveling that ball of yarn, it tends to be a little bit longer than you expected. Um, but if that is a main priority, the that can be a good option for you. That being said, if schema optimization is really interesting and you're a smaller group and you probably aren't opening a ton of locations, you don't find yourself working on the website all the time, maybe you're optimized already. The widgets are a really great option as well. So we've got hours widgets, which also can include structured schema data for your restaurant information. And then we've also got our
Mhm.
menu widget, which not only includes structured schema for your restaurant information, but also for those individual menu items. So again, while host isn't for 100% of everybody in the restaurant industry, widgets are going to be a really nice turnkey solution to make sure that schema optimization and that structured data is still visible on your website.
Okay. So we've got some questions from the chat, and I want to go over that. You did already talk about Marquee Host being an additional feature,
Yes.
paid feature. But so how much are widgets? Are they just come with the program?
So it totally depends on the package that you're with. It is included in our kitchen sink program. If you are not included with kitchen sink, let us know. Talk to our support team, talk to our AMs. But it is available to anyone with our listing and menu services. If you have your menus in Marquee, odds are you probably have access to that host feature. It'll be on the
Mm.
left-hand panel of your dashboard. If it's not there, shoot an email over to support to your account manager. They'll be able to help you out with that.
Okay, that makes sense. So especially if you maybe are a little bit smaller too, like I have a
100%.
client that's got 4 locations. We're likely going to use widgets to
100%.
solve for some of this issue until we get a little bit bigger, which is happening, which is very exciting.
Yeah, growth is always really exciting, and once those growth problems start stacking up, that's when I recommend hosts. So generally speaking, if I had to put a roundabout number on it, I'd say 15 locations is where we see people kind of start running into the I'm opening too many. This is a lot to keep up with. Widgets aren't
Oh
cutting
my
it.
God. I remember when
Yeah.
I was head of marketing for Big Chicken and we were
Yep.
opening so many restaurants. It was a nightmare. We were literally on that page, like hard coding
Groundhog Day.
everything. It
It's
was
Groundhog Day. You
crazy.
got to do it over and
Yeah.
over again. Yeah.
I know. It was nuts. Okay, we have another question from Itzel Hayward from Houston. Hi, Itzel.
Mhm.
We're both in Texas too, so that's great. She said, going back to menu photos, what is the best format to upload onto the menu part of the listings? I've tried to upload photos and I usually get a message that the file is too big. Is there a file size limitation?
So there's more than likely a file size limitation. I'm not super. I couldn't tell you what the file size limitation is off the top of my head. I can tell
Sure.
you if you're looking to compress images, I normally choose to go WebP as the file format. There's a lot of nice, easy tools to use online for that. Um, that is
Wait, so
going to
you
be the
change your file form, you
file
changed your
format.
file like from a JPEG to a WebP?
Mhm. Exactly. And that's just going to
Huh.
allow you to have a little bit of a smaller file size. It's also really important for websites. You want to make sure your file size is as small as possible. Um, you want to make sure your images are as small as possible when you're loading it, because again, we didn't get into the weeds
It
too far, but how fast your page loads really matters, and more data takes
does.
longer. Um,
Yeah. That is very true. That is very true. If you have other questions, please do drop them in the chat. I think that we'll be happy to take a few more. Um, John, I did want to talk a little bit more about websites. I know that you look at websites all the time for restaurants. What do you think is your favorite restaurant website right now that's hitting like all the components that you really like to see?
so my favorites are the ones I built.
Okay.
The Doghouse, Bonchon, Bubba Coos, they're all great. Those are really awesome. I think Taco Bell does a lot of really cool stuff when it comes to SEO. They're one of the ones I look at
Mm,
pretty often. They're any type of new technology. They do a great job of something called intent pages, which are also going to be it's also a feature available in Host. So really cool thing there. And this is again a little bit more into the world of SEO is basically they make alternative versions of their location pages specifically
huh.
focused on one type of search. So if you go to Taco Bell's website, or if you look up late night tacos in Austin, Texas, maybe Taco
Yeah.
Bell after that, you'll see late night Taco Bell landing pages. So again, there's a lot of really cool things, and that's really the exciting part and the thing that I really enjoy about web development. There's always new stuff to try. It is a changing landscape. The AI shift has been really exciting and really interesting to build around. Um, it's again, there's a lot of really great examples out there, but Taco Bell is like the one that comes to mind where if I'm like thinking about trying something, I'll go see what they've got going
I
on.
like that. I like that. So we have another question in the chat from Goodfellas Pizzeria. Hello, Pizzeria. What about for website video headers? Any suggested size or file type for website video? Like the videos that play like at the header, like that big
Great
file at the
question. I'm always a little hesitant for header videos. Reason being is they're large.
Oh,
They I know they're really fun, interactive. And look, not every single web page needs to be fully optimized for SEO. Now, I wouldn't do a website video on your location landing pages, and there are ways that you can load this efficiently. I'd recommend talking to your web developer. They're going to be able to give you specific helpful tips on that. Um, but rule of thumb is you want those file sizes to be as small as possible. You want those to be loaded as a priority. And that's more from again, an SEO perspective. The file type isn't super impactful. We just want to make sure it's, again, as small as possible.
mm. And we have a comment as well from Nicole, and she said that Vimeo and YouTube work perfectly. So I'm assuming what you mean, Nicole, is like you upload those videos to Vimeo and YouTube and then embed that link essentially onto the website. Yes, she said yes. Thank you, ma'am. Awesome. And then we have a follow-up question also from the pizzeria place, Goodfellas. A large video file could impact our SEO. This has to do with load time, right, John? So how does that work?
Exactly. So whenever your website's loading, and the perspective that these search engines have is I want to be a good, if someone's putting something into Google, they want it to be a good experience, whatever that result is. They want it to be a good experience for everyone that might be on there. So whether
Yeah.
you're on a 5G connection on the newest iPhone, or if you're on a 2G, 3G connection, maybe in the hills of Appalachia on a you know 2011 Samsung, probably not going to be the most efficient load. So if there's a large file, or if your website has a ton of content and it's all trying to load at once, and like the structure of the web is waiting for this, um, that is going to impact your SEO score. You can check this with a
Oh,
few different tools, and I do want to leave y'all with a few tools here. First things first, if you're curious what your current website schema looks like, there's an organization called schema.org. You can go there, click validate, and then paste your link in there, and it'll tell you exactly what your schema looks like right now. The other piece is if you just Google PageSpeed, that is going to be Google's tool to look at how your current website's performing. There's going to be two metrics in there, Core Web Vitals and Lighthouse. You do not have to go super deep into it. If you have a web developer, let them know. You can really open up a can of worms there. So totally okay if you don't know exactly what's going on, but green means good, red means bad, whenever you're checking those.
huh, interesting. Okay.
That's the exact one
And I
they use.
know, yeah, we're trying to keep up with you, John. Okay, great. And the follow up from Pizzeria, they said, heard, we recently created location pages for each of our locations, but our owners wanted video on each page in the header. I assume this might affect our speed, but didn't know about SEO. Thank you.
100%.
Hopefully, we have validated you, Mr. Goodfella, and you can go back with that information. I do love video in headers. I think it looks really great. It
I get
creates
it.
movement, creates excitement. But yeah, I do. I also know like it can slow things down, and so I do still see people using, and even some of my clients still use like rotating carousels of still images, which still gives
Right.
you that feeling of movement and everything. But video's
And you can
better.
use a GIF. That's also super valuable. That's going to
Mhm,
be a little bit smaller than a video. It still kind of gives
mhm,
you that motion. There's some really, really high quality GIFs out there now. So you can convert a video into a GIF if that is an option. And there are efficient ways to load videos, but at the end of the day, they're larger file size than photos. So there's always going to be a
mhm.
trade-off.
And what do you use to create GIFs these days, John?
So I am not a big GIF creator. So that is probably a question for our resident GIF creator, which is Carl. He's our head of product
I
and
knew it.
engineering. But yeah, he's the big he's quick with the GIFs nowadays.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, final call for questions. I don't see any in here right now. Let's give it a couple minutes just to make sure. Da-da-da-da. John, what is your go-to order at Taco Deli?
I really like the auto. I really like the cowboy.
Yes. Mm,
Um, I really don't branch out that much. I really get and the Mexican street taco is also good. The
yeah.
I think I get the beef one. I know it comes in chicken as well. Um, those are normally my go-tos, and I really don't branch out that much. Taco Deli is like it is also in the same parking lot as my gym, so it is a often stop, just like
That
popping
is
out on my
not
way home.
great.
Yeah, I know it's
That
a little
is,
counterproductive, but at the end of the day, it's quick, it's good, it's easy. I love it.
oh my God. In San Marcos, this one will close down, but there was an Orange Theory located right next to like the best kolache shop in town called
Yeah.
Dos Gatos. And it was all, I like, no judgment, but some people would like leave Orange Theory and go into the kolache shop. And I
Hey,
was like,
Tumble
I get it.
22 is
You just burned it
also
off.
Tumble 22 is
Mm.
also in my parking lot, so I'm really it's just danger everywhere.
Oh, I know exactly where your gym is now.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
it's
know
Gold on
exactly
Burnett.
what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still a big chicken girl. Like that is like my favorite chicken concept at the moment. Sadly, we don't have one here in Austin except at the Moody Center, but I'm hoping eventually.
All
Okay.
right, and
I don't think we had anything else, John. We can wrap it up.
I think so. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out. Here are the QR codes again on the screen. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to jump on a call, answer any questions. If you want to take a look at your current website, book some time with us. It doesn't even have to be fully about host. I'm always happy to chat and nerd out with anyone who is interested in listening to me. Um, but again, thanks everyone for joining. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.